Recording in progress.
Welcome into the latest episode of Betting the Pitch, the European Soccer Edition. Except this episode, since I think we only have midweek matches in Spanish La Liga, we are going through Spain's La Liga, the Jornada 36, 36, and this will be the third to last, so not yet the penultimate, but going to go through the table, what's being fought for. Real Valladolid have been relegated a long time ago, but plenty of other teams to talk about, including Getafe, as I wear their kit today. And then we'll try to find some best bet winners. We're 46 and 19, 71% through. I'm still catching up on a lot of soccer, but big run in, of course, as we finish the season. But I want to get this out. And I figured instead of doing this on Tuesday morning, I wanted to get this in everyone's hands or podcast networks as soon as possible so that you maybe get it on the way to work or wherever you're listening. Would love to hear if you can leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify under the name of the podcast, Betting the Pitch, or if you want to subscribe to @TheReal_G Warner, or just hit me up at @TheReal_G Warner across any social media platform. This 1-minute video, the ultimate best bet, 46 and 19, 71% year to date, will be posted on YouTube Shorts and on Instagram Reels. So if you want this podcast in a very short, quick format, that's probably the best way to do it. If you want the full, maybe 25 minutes or so on just one league, which sounds like a lot, but maybe it won't be. Thanks to you that are in here live. Feel free to throw a comment up and I will display it as soon as I see it. But since we already have some people in here, let's get into it now. We'll start in Spain. Of course, that's what we're doing on today's podcast. We'll start with Real Valladolid, who I just mentioned, already relegated. They're 3/4 goal underdogs at home to Girona. Totals 2.5, just all the way to over. So Girona, Champions League, incredible finish just one season ago. Found their way to Champions League. We're pretty horrible in Champions League. And then one of the bottom finishers there. And then I've been fighting relegation in La Liga. Not great. They are currently, though, higher in the table than they are at 38 points, 4 points ahead of Leganés in the 18th position, which is first to be relegated. No playoff to worry about. You simply have to finish ahead of 3 teams to stay safe. One already gone, Real Valladolid, way down, but that was, I guess, somewhat expected. Girona, so they're favorites away from home, and they are a team that wants to play offense. That's been their strategy. That's their style when they moved up to La Liga, I believe, in the Segunda División playoff. I want to say there's a run of teams finishing 6th, and then 3 through 6 play in playoffs to get into the last position in Spain. And Girona were good their first season, were great their second, better than anyone expected, really just lost to the biggest clubs in Spain, but found their way to Champions League, was awesome. But you don't get any credit for that, really. You just get, especially when a lot of their players leave to Man City and other places. The problem is that you still have to do the same thing against good competition again the next year, except a lot of people will take you more seriously. So Valladolid, currently 3/4 goal underdogs, already relegated, have not much to worry about or to think about, honestly. And the way I'll do the best bet, ultimate best bet coming end of show, is I'll make one bet from each of the days of this jornada, which will be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in Spain, as we are trying to jam things in. I guess that's what happens when you take an entire weekend off for the Spanish Copa del Rey. But I guess it does give us some standalone games. That's cool. Certainly not something to complain about, at least from my perspective. So in terms of this number, so Real Valladolid already relegated. Girona, they are, like I said, 4 points clear of the last spot, or the 18th position, one of the 3. In other words, if they get a win here, they are safe, which is pretty, of all teams to go on the road to, of course, you want the team that's already way down, that has been so bad for weeks, years, months, however we're describing it. Pretty nice place to be, though I don't think it'll be that easy. There is something to relegated sides that play a lot better down the stretch. The problem is Real Valladolid are just clearly broke, or maybe they had so many players that just didn't believe in the project, hated where they were playing, didn't like the weather in, I guess, a cold, higher elevation part of Spain, if I know the geography correctly, which is possible. I do not. But they were a bad team that were promoted, or they were a promoted club that were going to struggle to stay in La Liga. And then they sold a lot of their best players. So of course things were going to go well, and then things went horribly wrong. And pretty much destiny was calling Real Valladolid down to Segunda División again. Yo-yo club that go up and down a lot. Girona we're not expecting this close of a fight. They were expecting to be probably in the race for Champions League or at least European positions again, but that was clearly not the case, and they are swimming at the bottom of the La Liga Spanish España Ocean. El Mar de España. Anyway, I think from a Valladolid perspective, they are playing for pride, and that is valuable, whereas Girona have not enough pressure. I don't think that every second they're freaking out about not winning this match, because they do have quite a cushion and honestly could get no points and still stay up. But they're not safe, and I think that does add some pressure. So I'm interested in Valladolid, 3/4 goal underdogs, and I think more interested in under 2.5, which is juiced very heavily to over. Probably see 2 3/4 here. Like I said earlier, Girona are not a defensive team. They're one that want to protect their leads by scoring goals. It worked in the 2023-2024 calendar season. Has not really worked in this one, but I think for this match day, it's as simple as Girona trying to get a win, which a single goal victory will only lose half of a unit on Real Valladolid at this point. And I think we see a low scoring match here. So I like both the home underdog and under 2.5. Move next to Real Sociedad hosting Celta de Vigo. Currently Real Sociedad 1/4 goal favorites at home. All the juice on Celta de Vigo away. Total is 2.5 and juice all the way to under. So Celta have been awesome in the league this season. Real Sociedad have not been. They've really struggled. Currently, Real Sociedad in 12th position on 43 points. It looks like Celta de Vigo in a European position on 49. So never say die. There's still 3 matches to go. And, of course, Real Sociedad need to win. They are favored to do so, as they should be at home in their Real Arena, which I did attend. My first actually Spanish soccer match, or first European soccer match, was at Real Arena, so that hits a little bit close to home for me. But ultimately, Real Sociedad, they've been unable to score goals for years. They've been good at possessing the ball, but that's even been a little bit weaker this season. And their defense, I feel like they've already sold Zubimendi to Arsenal, but he still started their weekend matchup. So we'll see what that looks like. They do rotate and generally have a pretty deep squad, but I feel like they've gone with the youth movement over the last couple seasons. So Celta are the ones who also have gone young, but their youth talent has been incredible, and they'd be so much better if they weren't losing players to Saudi Arabia and such. But Celta as a 1/4 goal underdog is very interesting to me. It's very expensive at the moment. At Pick'em, I probably avoid any road team, but Our Sociedad just haven't looked good enough to me for a long time. And I think having to win this match, yes, it's at home, that's helpful, but still not, I'm still not a believer. So Celta like the 1/4 goal, and any total really, or any game match with Real Sociedad, seeing a total of 2.5. I think it probably overvalues Celta de Vigo's offense away from home against a team that wants to really possess the ball for the entire 90 minutes, especially when Real Sociedad aren't going to be scoring much. So again, road underdog here though, as opposed to the home underdog in the first matchup, but lean to the Celta side and to under 2.5. Very juicy at the moment, but still like under 2.25 if it falls there. Probably won't play a pick'em for Celta de Vigo. Moving to nightcap on, I guess, Tuesday. Sevilla, they are 3/4 goal favorites with almost all the juice at home to Las Palmas. Totals 2.5, and it's juiced pretty heavily to under right now. In terms of where these clubs are, I mean, Sevilla has already just sacked their manager, brought in a caretaker, and they are sitting on 38 points, tied with Girona. So they are 4 points ahead of Leganés and 6 points ahead of Las Palmas, who they're playing. So Las Palmas need a win here. If they draw, they'll be on 33 points, and they could still catch Alaves on 35 and 17th, but certainly a win would behoove them, to say the least. Still a couple matches to go, so again, I don't think there are a ton of must wins unless the points just dictate that, but I do like Las Palmas away from home. They are not a pretty team that I expect to score goals, but if they move to a 1-goal underdog, I'll be very, very excited, and they'll probably be on my card. I think a lot because I don't trust Sevilla. They've obviously just sacked their manager. They've been nowhere near the club that they were a few seasons ago, winning Europa Leagues back to back over and over again. Now they don't even qualify for Europe. Won a very easy bet on Real Sociedad to have more points, to finish higher than them in the table than Sevilla a couple seasons ago. And the drop off for both those clubs has been significant, but Sevilla even worse. Sevilla still kind of, to me, has a name like they are, or at least some respect in the Spanish marketplace, which I don't really agree with. So, I mean, this spread is just too high. I think there's a good chance I would be interested in playing both side and total, as a single 1-0 loss would pay the under and lose half your bet on the side. So that's certainly profitable moving through a season. I do think that Las Palmas can win this match. I don't think Sevilla do enough offensively to do much really here to dissuade that. So a lot to like there. I think the biggest question is probably Las Palmas defense, but I think it'll be very, very motivated, especially away from home, where a point does seem like a really good value to them, though certainly 3, if on offer, they will try to snatch your hand off and bite it off if they could get it. For my best bet on Tuesday, I'll go Las Palmas and Sevilla under 2.5 goals in that nightcap. Before I get to Wednesday, I want to go through other podcasts on this channel. We will have the next version, the Formula One episode with at Roscoe Poop Scoop, as we go through F1, new to this Betting the Pitch podcast network. And if you would like to subscribe, do so. Betting the Pitch and Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, at @the_Real_G Warner on YouTube. And we are adding, or I am adding, the 1-minute ultimate best bet summarizing those episodes on at @the_Real_G Warner, Instagram, and on YouTube. So we'll go to Wednesday. We'll start with Alaves hosting Valencia. Currently Alaves quarter goal favorites at home with all the juice. Total is 2.25, juiced all the way to under. Two clubs that have been, I think, very disappointing this season. Alaves sacked their manager and have done nothing well since then. They're on 35 points, 1 ahead of the drop zone. So they are in peril. But they're at home, and they get Valencia side, who are on 45 points. That puts them, let's see, only a couple points outside of Europeans zone, with Mallorca on 47. So good chance of Valencia are playing for that, knowing that they've been without Europe for a few seasons, and that's kind of put them in this relegation mess. Good for them to get out of that and be safe. I don't think they've been caught by Leganés. No, they cannot. So that's huge for them. But I do think that Alaves have been one of the worst clubs in Spain this season. They're great to bet against, both for unders and for the underdog. I think Alaves are home favorites. They're favorites at home because they're at home. Mendizorroza is a tough place to play, but I think Valencia are much more talented. And I just don't think a season of Quique Garcia as striker at 37 or 8 years old is really the answer for this club. He's done well at times, but has kind of fallen apart. And it feels like another one of those situations where the 1-0 victories is the best Alaves can really get. So total is very interesting. And I think the side, especially as we're looking like we'll climb to a half a goal underdog before kickoff on Wednesday, even regardless, I think Valencia, with something to play for, is still of great interest to me. So I like that quarter of a goal. I think I like under 2.25 even more. We'll move next to Villarreal hosting Leganés. And a big battle at the bottom. Leganés in the relegation zone. Like I said, the calendar campaign does not end this match day, so it's not as desperate as it could be, but it's probably pretty desperate. Villarreal on the other side, they're playing for Champions League. They are currently sitting in 5th position, the last Champions League position, 3 points ahead of Real Betis, and then a lot ahead of Celta Vigo. So they look pretty safely into the Europa League, but that's probably not the limit of, or not their ultimate aim. So let's start with the Villarreal goal and a half favorites, excuse me. Total is 3 in this matchup. I'm not sure if I just read those out, but here we did just in case. Leganés, they are in that first relegation position. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter. If you finish in one of the bottom 3, you're gone, whether it's last like Valladolid, who've been woeful and worse than everyone, or second from bottom, third from bottom, you're still going down. So the big question is, Leganés to me are a side that want to control the ball. They don't have much goal scoring. They defend and they work really hard at it. But that's a really scary combination for a match you need to win, especially away from home. I don't think necessarily that is where I want to be. I think, if anything, under 3 is my biggest interest. That's a gigantic total in Spain. Villarreal certainly command that with how good their offense has been for a lot of the season, and probably the woeful defense too. But they've also been pretty weak at home. So I think that gives Leganés a chance. I think they're going to be fighting like hell, and that does make a single goal loss seem like a realistic possibility, though I do think I want to at least put an asterisk out there that there's a very likely chance that Leganés throw everything forward late, including a goalkeeper, and could concede that deadly empty net goal to potentially lose by 2 goals instead of that 1, which would swing a push to a loss, which would be brutal. But doesn't happen all the time. Wouldn't let that dissuade you from making a play, especially if you would like Leganes in this matchup. I'm not sure I feel that strongly about it. I think I like the under 3 more than anything as a way to back Leganes and another derivative. But honestly, there's so much more. There's a lot to play for on both of these sides. But Villarreal have been the road warriors this season, which has been a surprise. And I think that is something to consider as a big favorite. To the nightcap on Wednesday of Real Madrid hosting Mallorca. Currently, Real Madrid 1.5 goal favorites with more juice on the Mallorca side. Total is 3, juice all the way to over. And of course, Real Madrid coming off of the El Clasico, off of El Clasico. And that's always a great position to be to face Real Madrid because they are generally not at the highest level of their abilities. Mallorca tied for that last European position on 47 points. Osasuna 45, Valencia 45. Real Sociedad, they could be caught by a lot. They also want to look upwards as well. The difference is Mallorca just can't score goals this season. At home, they've been better than on the road, but especially on the road, I think off island, they've been pretty weak. And for that reason, I think even with the struggles that Real Madrid have defending, plus the struggles they have just in general, I think with too many attacking players and not enough dual citizens, if you will, in both offense and defense. I think the Mallorca under 3 is my biggest interest here. The total is certainly juiced pretty heavily to over right now. BetOnline could be climbing to 3.25. And I think for those reasons, Mallorca playing a tight game. They did face Real Madrid in the Supercopa de España, contested in Saudi Arabia. 1-0 in stoppage time, conceded, I think, 2 goals, if not worse. Deserved to win on that one, I must say. Me and all my Patreon subscribers, plus subscribers on pregame. But, it doesn't always work that way. And there's been a really rough year of bad beats in the stoppage times. But got an incredible ratio versus my team scoring or wins in stoppage time versus losses. But I'll sum that up end of season. And I can't wait for how gross that tweet's going to look to summarize it all. But I think the Real Madrid side, there's not a lot for them to play for, I don't think, anymore. Mallorca do, and Mallorca will give it their all. My only question, though, is Mallorca have been known as a club, despite changing managers this season, that they are known for rotating, especially when they have 2 matches in a week. I think there's a good chance they just completely give up on this match and let it go. So that's a big concern for me. So I think best bet for me on Wednesday will be Valencia under 2.25 goals on the road at Alaves. And we'll move to Thursday, the 15th of May. I got 4 matches here, and then we'll summarize that all up as a best bet, ultimate best bet end of show coming. Don't wait too long. It will be here. And also want to plug the pregame Major League Baseball podcast that I put on with Munaf Manji. Recorded that tonight for the Tuesday card. Should be out at pregame now on Twitter or RJ Bell's Dream Preview, wherever you get your podcasts. So let's move to Thursday. Rayo Vallecano hosting Real Betis. Currently Rayo, that is, a quarter goal underdog at home with all the juice. Totals 2.25, juice all the way to over. Really expensive prices, so probably pick them in a lot of places across the marketplace, and most likely 2.5s. Real Betis, good offense. They've played an extra match times every week. There was one in the Conference League, and I think that's limited their ability to play their best players. They've been rotating, and they have some depth. The signing of Anthony from Manchester United could not have worked out better for them. But Rayo, they're a decent club, and they are in a position where Real Betis are fighting for Champions League, but are still in the Conference League, or at least we're in it to the semifinals last week. And Rayo, they are tied with Mallorca for that last European position. So I think there's a lot of desire on both sides. Rayo Vallecano much better at home in Vallecas, where they are great at defending and springing counterattacks. I think we see a low-scoring match. That's probably the way that Rayo would dictate how to play. Well, Real Betis want to play a high-scoring match. I just don't think Real Betis, with extra matches on their legs and potentially seeing some rotation, I think we see Rayo in a much better rest position and just position in general at home. So I like that quarter of a goal, and I think they dictate the tempo here. So under 2.25 or 2.5 is of interest to me as well. Moving next to Osasuna hosting Atletico Madrid. Currently Osasuna a half of a goal underdog at home with all the juice. Totals 2.25, juice almost all the way to over. Atleti, they've been disastrous since they fell out of the Copa del Rey Champions League and La Liga title run or title hunt all in the same week, it seemed like, or a couple weeks. On the Osasuna side, they're 2 points behind that last European position, so they've got a lot to fight for. They play much better at El Sadar in Pamplona, and Atleti to me are just a side I want to be against. So Osasuna, half a goal underdog. I also like under 2.25. Probably like the underdog at home more so than the total. Moving next to a big rivalry, a derby in Catalonia. We have Espanyol hosting Football Club de Barcelona. Currently, Espanyol 1.5 goal underdogs at home, all the juice on Barcelona away. Total's 3.25. Juice is split both ways on that one. So no real indicator which direction that'll go, though always expect Barca money to hit. And of course, overs with Barca. Espanyol have been great at home. I don't expect that to change. They are in great position after being promoted to La Liga this season. Currently sitting 14th on 39 points. Not yet safe, so 3 matches still to go. Leganés and Las Palmas could both catch them, but it looks unlikely. With that said, Espanyol have been so good at home. Barcelona coming off of the El Clasico, coming off of El Clasico. I think that puts Espanyol in an even better position. And I think there's going to be a huge fight for a team that's been so good at home. I think lost 1-0 to Real Madrid or beat Real Madrid earlier this season, something like that. We're competitive, would have covered the spread, any of those situations, losing or winning by a single goal with this 1.5. And it also looks like we might see 1.75. I think Barcelona are still pretty dismayed about getting knocked out of Champions League and still have La Liga on their mind and want to win it, but it seems like it's theirs. So I think there's a good chance Espanyol are in good position to clinch safety or lose by a single goal. And I think we see a low scoring match as well. And I think that is all going the Espanyol route. So take that 1.5 and under 3.25. I like them both as we speak. Last but not least, let's go to Getafe as I wear their kit with a really cool sponsor. If I can show it a little bit better. Tecnocata, I guess that is a house technology or something like that in the Madrid area. But it's also the best type of music, in my opinion. Anyway, Getafe, quarter goal underdogs at home with all the juice to Athletic Club Bilbao. Totals 1.75, juice all the way to over. So Athletic Club, we're 3-0 down on the road at Old Trafford at Manchester United in the Europa League second leg. The final being staged at their Casa and San Mamés in Bilbao, where they play all their matches. Would have been nice for them to make it there. And then they had a match this weekend where the Spanish La Liga market just bet under hand over fist, knocked a 2 all the way through down to 1.75, which is too low for me to play. The push on 2 is essential for me to want to play something like that. So same story here. Another really defensive side in Getafe, though they are, to me, just as likely to score as Athletic Club. So I love that underdog. It's very juiced at the moment, but lean to that quarter of a goal. And we'll be waiting to see a 2 show up for potential bet purposes, but if we don't have that now, that's not going to be eligible for the ultimate best bet and is not going to be on my list really as a best bet opportunity for Thursday. But I need to select my best bet from Thursday, which I will do to add to the Wednesday and Tuesday versions of this podcast. But a little bit more, I guess, with one extra match on Thursday to go through. And the best bets will be coming. We'll be doing a regular Friday night, most likely episode for one of the last Saturday, Sunday weekends of international or European football before the season wraps up. And we're going to try to finish on a good note. And we'll be trying to keep in mind who has nothing to play for, because the beach sides are who we want to avoid, especially because their defense doesn't go all out and they're thinking of their trips to Ibiza as opposed to keeping a ball at the back of their net. And that's something that I will tell you now so that you can also keep me accountable, because that is an important thing to remember as we go deeper into this season. For my best bet on Thursday, I will go with Osasuna, a half of a goal underdog at home to Atletico Madrid. That is my favorite bet there. And I think it's now time for the ultimate best bet. Before we get there, I've already mentioned the Formula One episode that's coming out this week. I haven't figured out the day yet, but thank you to those of you that are here live. If you want to drop a comment in, I will try to see it before I sign off. But since I don't see anything in the queue, if you are a listener on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, if you leave a 5-star review, it's huge for the search rankings and would be a great indicator. If you want to write something, tell me what you would like me to change or what to do more of or something like that, that'd also be very helpful. And of course, I look forward to that and trying to do what's best for the podcast next season, as ultimately trying to grow this bad boy so I could quit my real job. But don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. So I guess we'll just leave that there. Let me make sure I can minimize this so I can actually see what I'm staring at. And then I think it's time for Ultimate Best Bets. So let's get into it. Hey, this is Real_G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube. This is the ultimate best bet from the Betting the Pitch soccer podcast. Went through La Liga's Jornada 36, Matchday 36, 3 match days left to go before we finish the Spanish season, and have best bets from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. All can be found on this at the Real_G Warner, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. I'll link it all over the place, all etc. We are 46-19, 71% year to date. Going to try to keep that record even growing until we finish the season. On Tuesday, like Las Palmas, under 2.5 goals. On Wednesday, Valencia under 2.25. On Thursday, it was Osasuna, a half of a goal underdog. But for the ultimate best bet in this episode, check out patreon.com/Real_G Warner for all my plays across Major League Baseball. Stanley Cup playoffs had a big night on Monday, May 12th. Going to try to keep that going as long as possible. We'll go to Wednesday. Actually, we'll pick Tuesday. Las Palmas under 2.5 goals. It's coming up pretty soon, but it's my favorite bet. I think we see a very low-scoring game on the road at Sevilla. And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. I will see you on the next episode, whenever that comes. But thanks to you that are here late night with me live. And it's been a great season. Let's try to keep this going right through the end of the year. And I look forward to it. Let's win some money.
Recording stopped.